What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Pete's Carport, and welcome to another video on our 91 BMW 318i e30. Probably the most fun car I've driven. I cannot tell you how much fun this car is stock. It was so much fun that I decided I was going to take this thing to work this morning, which is the longest drive I've done yet. And of course, I ran into an issue. So, if you didn't see the last video, we basically flushed the radiator twice, and then we filled it, and then we finally got it to stop overheating, removed the thermostat, so we're running no thermostat right now, and this thing ran so cool 95% of the way to work this morning. It's about a 40-minute drive. Then I noticed it started to creep up, so after it sat and cooled a little bit, I checked the oil, and unfortunately there was a little bit of foaminess, and I kind of thought there could be an issue because yesterday after I made that video, I did an oil change and it looked like chocolate milk a little bit, but I was still kind of hesitant because I didn't know how old the oil was. I didn't know if that was something that had already been sitting in there, but let me go ahead and show you guys what I mean by that. So what happens is when coolant gets in the oil, it'll get frothy. Hopefully I can focus on this for you guys. Well, let's see. Alright, so you guys can see the little bit of foam. Okay, so you guys can see a little bit of foam that's right up there. That is literally only driving it to work and back. Like I said, about 30-40 minutes there and back. On my way back, it creeped way up on the temperature right at the end. I shuttered down and actually glided into my shop here. Now, this was about 3 or 4 hours ago, and now I just went down, sorry about the wind, just went down and picked up this stuff. So we're gonna see if this Bluedevil Head gasket really does work. So, we're going to make sure we follow these directions to the T. I've just watched a few videos on it, looked at reviews, and it seems like it absolutely works great. So many people raved about this, how great it was, and it worked on their car. And I figured I can order the parts for close to the price of this, because this is like 60, 70 bucks. So the parts were about $90, and then if I needed head bolts, they were a little bit more. And it's just the time involved. Just got the car running the way I like it, and I really just want to take this thing out and just have a blast with it. So let's see if this stuff can work, and we can just beat the crap out of the car and then go ahead and change out the head gasket a little bit down the road. So one of the main things that people talked about is making sure you follow the directions to the T. Like I said, we already flushed it twice. We even used the Bluedevil flush, which is what they recommend. We're going to flush it out once again with a hose. And then it says make sure the car is completely cooled down. So what I'm going to do is I went and got cold water and some ice. A lot of people said they waited 24 hours. I don't see that being necessary because an engine's going to cool down pretty quickly, especially if you flush it out with hose water. So what we're going to do is flush it out with hose water, add the cold water, push that cold water through the engine by basically running the hose through it, add a little ice, push that through, make sure we get this engine completely down to cold temperature, and then we're going to go ahead and follow these directions to the T. And basically that is the starting thing. Remove your thermostat. The great thing is right now we're running no thermostat. We also have no heater core or heater hooked up. So a lot of this I'm going to be able to skip, but make sure you follow these directions to the T if you're doing this at home. People swear by it. If you follow the directions, it works. I was reading some of the reviews on this, and it seemed like anyone who basically reviewed this really bad was not following directions. One guy even tried to claim it clogged up his thermostat. Well, it specifically says take the thermostat out. They do have another product that's pour and go. You do not need to remove the thermostat, so make sure you know which one you're getting because they both work from what I understand. This one seems to work a little bit better because it requires you to take your thermostat out. It's a thicker product from what I was able to find. Let me know in the comments if you guys know a little bit more about that. But we are going with this one. It has the yellow label on it compared to the white label, and it's the head gasket sealer versus the pour and go head gasket sealer, just so you guys know. Alright, so let's go ahead and get set up. I'm going to basically start draining out what's in there right now, which, like I said, we've already ran this through twice. Well, we ran a different one through, and then we ran that one through, and then we filled it with coolant. So now I'm going to flush all that coolant out, and then we're going to basically run a hose through it, get any debris crap that's still in there out, and then we're going to cool down the engine as cold as possible and then follow these directions, so stay tuned. So one of the things I want to point out is we're going to go ahead and remove our lower hose here instead of using this to drain it. And then we're going to go ahead and remove it up here, and we're going to basically run pressurized hose water through just to flush every single thing out of there. Then I'm going to add some of the ice and cold water and kind of push that through slowly just to circulate through the motor. So let me go ahead and do that now. I'm going to take this off here as well, draining our coolant down into there right now from the bottom hose. And we're going to go ahead and add the hose to this, the hose water to this, and pressurize it. So guys, I want to let you know, this is all the coolant that was in there, so I'm wondering if we have a major head gasket leak. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that we don't have too much coolant in our oil, because I just changed that out, but I'm thinking that a lot of it had been seeping out somewhere. Hopefully we don't have another major leak, but we'll check all of that and make sure this stuff works good. Okay, you guys can see what I'm doing is flushing it out through here, so it's basically running right through our thermostat housing back up to here. And I had to add a ton of water before it started coming out, which means that we had lost some fluid somewhere. So hopefully we get to seal this off today. I only took it, like I said, for a short ride. So let's go ahead and keep doing this, and then I'm gonna add some ice to it, flush it through the system, so that'll cool off our engine, which honestly is already very, very cool. So I don't know why people think they have to wait 24 hours. Let me know if that's something that you guys think is necessary, but I'm gonna go ahead and run this cold water through it, get this engine down to temp, then I'm gonna wait a couple hours and we're gonna go ahead and use it. So guys, I want to fill you in. Actually, I think the ice was a great idea, but not necessary to pour probably the colder water on there, because the hose water obviously is going to be slightly cold. So I went ahead and started doing this, and it did come out a little warm at first, and now it is coming out ice cold. So I'm going to keep doing this for this whole bag of ice, basically to cool down the engine to a cold temperature, and I think that's going to get us where we need to be. Alright guys, it's already been about 4 hours now, and the water is super cold. If you actually squeeze this, you make sure you get rid of any of the air bubbles that could be in the system. I also let out enough water to be able to add our Bluedevil head gasket sealer. So now the next step is I need to start the car up. Remember, if you have a thermostat, get that out of there, because you want to take the thermostat out, reclose up everything, and then do exactly as I'm doing now. So what I'm going to do is start the car. I'll show you guys here. The car is extremely cold. The temperature gauge is all the way down. And I'll show you that too once I start it up, so you guys can see how low the temperature gauge is. This system really worked that I did with the ice, so I'm very excited about that. It really cooled the entire engine area off. Of course, I let it sit about 6 hours since driving this as well too, so that helps. So let me go ahead, start the engine. Then you got to pour this in very slowly. You got to take about, says about 1 minute to do it. So you go 15 seconds, 15 seconds, 15 seconds, adding a little bit here and there. So let's go ahead and get set up to do that. So this is 10 minutes of running it. So guys, about 20 minutes in, the car started to heavily overheat. I can turn the key on and show you where it's at right now. As you can see, it's almost up in the red. So I shut it down. I think that I might have an issue with the water pump, because I'm noticing when I fill it and then I start the car, it starts bubbling up. But if I rev the engine, it runs the water heavily through it. So I think what I did was I unloaded too much water, because I wanted to make sure I got the Bluedevil stuff in there, and I think I took too much water out, and now it's running with too low of water. So what I'm going to do is let it cool completely down, add more water to it, make sure the system's completely filled, start it back up, and see if I can get this stuff to work. Hopefully, because now it's a little bit different process than the directions called for. So stay tuned, guys. This is now 30 minutes in on the second try after adding more water. Wow guys, this is 45 minutes in. It's actually running cooler. I think it's actually working. Let me show you one other thing. So when I started this, I went ahead and cleaned off the oil dipstick, and you can see there has been no more foam getting on it. So that is absolutely great news. I'm gonna let it go another 15 minutes just because, and then I'll come back and I'll tell you guys everything. Okay guys, it's been an hour, the longest this car has ever run since I've owned it. And check this out, I'm gonna go ahead and rev. The RPM gauge does not work, but look at that, it doesn't even go anywhere. In fact, it goes slightly down. So let's step outside. So the big question is, does Bluedevil head gasket sealer work? Well, It seems like it absolutely did, but don't worry guys, I'm gonna have a follow-up video. There'll be a part 2 to this. I want to drive the living crap out of this car for the next 3 weeks, check everything, make sure I don't have any coolant in the oil and all that stuff, and then I'm going to give you guys a follow-up video. But man, is this exciting, because all I've wanted to do is drive this car and just have fun with it, because it was an inexpensive purchase, and since I've driven it a few times, it's been an absolute blast. And today when it overheated, it was just giving me frustration after frustration. Now let's skip back to the video where the first time I went to actually start the car and it was giving me issues was because the whole system didn't have water through it. I'm a little confused on that. If you guys watched the last video, I had issues flushing it, filling it, flushing it, filling it. And for some reason, I've got to take the upper radiator hose off and fill that with water until it flows back through the system. And I don't know if that's because there's no heater core, or if because there's something wrong with the radiator. And also, when I restarted the car, the belt was squealing like crazy, and I'm thinking the water pump wasn't working because it started to creep up in temperature. I just kept giving it light gas, light gas, light gas, and all of a sudden, it was holding temperature. And that was about 15 minutes into this second cycle. I didn't show any of that. I just wanted to talk about that. And I believe either this water pump is on its way out, or it was having issues pumping the water. Maybe there was a clog, maybe there was something going on and it pushed everything through, but it seems completely fine now. I literally ran this thing for about an hour and 5 minutes, and it was the coolest it's ever been. So that is absolutely exciting. That means a 30-minute drive to work, a 30-minute drive back will be no issue at all. I'm going to attempt that. I'm going to attempt some longer drives with this car, and like I said, I'm going to give you guys a 90-day update because I think that's important. So what do you guys think about this? Do you think it's worth it? I absolutely, for the price of this. Now, I'm going to show you real quick my receipt because I want to tell you something you guys can do. So this product right here is usually $67.99. Now, I go online a lot and I'll get a 25% off code. I suggest you guys do that. But for some reason, it did not work on this product. So I went in the store and said, hey, what can you give me off? Usually they'll give me 15% off depending on the product. They've even given me 25% off. So do not hesitate to go into your store. Now, I go into this store a lot, probably 3-4 times a week, so they know me very well. And they know that I do videos, so they hooked me up a little bit here. And you can see I walked out with tax, $62.71, $57.79 before tax. So not a bad deal, guys. I didn't have to tear the engine apart. This honestly saved me a lot of headaches and is going to allow me to really use this car for what I wanted. And that is just to drive the crap out of this and have some fun. Because I'm going to tell you, this is one of the funnest cars I have ever driven. And I've driven a lot of cars. Once again, guys, my name's Pete. I hope you liked the video. I hope you learned something. And I can't wait to give you guys that 90-day update because I really think this fixed the problem. You guys saw all the evidence. You guys can decide for yourself. Let me know in the comments what you think. Would you use this? And if you've ever experienced it. Have a blessed day, guys. Have an awesome week, and I'll catch you guys next time.